Welcome to the Crawlcast. I'm your host, George Krawczak, and this is my breakdown of the press conference by Utah District Attorney Jeff Gray regarding Charlie Kirks' killer. So we have learned a lot of information about this. We've learned probably the motive, we learned additional information, and I'll break that down to you in this video. Sorry if my voice sounds a little off. I've been pretty sick today. So first off, let's just start out with the charges. They announced that Charlie Kirk's assassin has been charged with felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, 2 counts of obstruction of justice, 2 counts of witness tampering, and commission of violent offense in presence of a child, because at the event there were children present at the event. So now let's get into the evidence that we think we know what the motive is. Well, not that we think, that we know the motive. I also want to mention they are currently seeking the death penalty for Charlie Kirk's assassin, Tyler Robinson. So these are text messages between the shooter and his boyfriend. So his boyfriend is a person that was a male transitioning into a female, and they had a gay relationship, and that person was transgender. This person is cooperating with law enforcement. I see a lot of people posting conspiracy theories because these texts do look a little too perfect, explaining the motive and how he did it and everything that went on. And I just want to point out something, is that if you look at the responses, see underneath a lot of Robinson's responses, Tyler Robinson is the killer, where there's 3 black dots, meaning that there was, okay, hold on, I just want to preface this. I don't know if this is true or not. This is just my theory on the situation, and to me, it does sound logically correct, but this could be completely incorrect. Just take it with a grain of salt. I just want to preface this that this is not confirmed. This is just my opinion, and it may not be true. I just want to get that out of the way. So look under some of the text messages between Robinson and his roommate, where you have Robinson and then 3 black dots. To me, that says that is probably the roommate's responses to the text. And so those have been edited out, because otherwise, why not just put the text? Why do you have those 3 dots indicating that something is there, but it's been redacted? I think that is because the roommate of Tyler Robinson, the person's last name is Twiggs. I apologize, I cannot remember their first name, where they are cooperating with law enforcement, and I assume they probably made some sort of agreement that this person will cooperate with law enforcement as long as this person is not charged with anything, and if maybe potentially damaging information about this person is not released, like them potentially celebrating or congratulating Tyler Robinson on killing Charlie Kirk. That's my theory, because why else do you have the 3 dots indicating something has been removed? Because if you look at the other text messages, it goes text, 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 and it's only after Robinson says something we have the 3 dots. It's not necessarily the roommate saying it and then the 3 dots. So to me, again, that indicates the roommate is responding to Tyler Robinson, and then the roommate that has been redacted because the roommate does not want them out and is a part of the agreement with the FBI and law enforcement that these will not be released as a part of this person working with law enforcement. So let me read the text. So first, Robinson texted his roommate / gay lover. Let's see here. Look under my computer, and then looked, and it had a note that said, I had a chance to take Charlie Kirk out, and I took it. So next, Robinson. I am still okay, my love, but I am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I hope to keep this a secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you. Roommate. You weren't the one that did it, right? Robinson. I am sorry. Roommate. I thought they caught the person. Robinson. No, they grabbed some crazy old dude. They interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering. Roommate, why? Robinson, why I did it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Redacted. Roommate. How long have you been planning this? Robinson. A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot. I don't want to chance it. Redacted. Robinson. I'm widening. I had. Or sorry. Uh, Robinson. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring it back. Grandpa's rifle. I redacted IDEK if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace back to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits, didn't have the ability or time to bring it with me. Redacted. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. But fuck. Will I explain losing it to my old man? Redacted. Only thing I left was a rifle wrapped in a towel. Redacted. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The fucking messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notices bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to have to leave it. That really fucking sucks. Redacted. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. I think that was a $2,000 scope. Redacted. Robinson. Delete this exchange. Robinson. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me right now, not answering. Redacted. Robinson. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Redacted. Robinson. I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors is here, a deputy for the sheriff. Robinson. You are all I worry about, love. Roommate. I'm much more worried about you. Robinson. Don't talk to the media. Please don't take any interviews or make any comments. Redacted. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. So that's it right there. He said that he shot Charlie Kirk because he felt like Charlie Kirk was hateful and he hated Charlie Kirk's rhetoric, and that's why he killed him, because he didn't want Charlie Kirk to speak anymore. And so it's kind of as plain and simple as that. And then the weird furry memes and stuff like this, where it's like, oh, if you see this, you're gay. That would suggest that he just thought it was funny, like someone on TV reading, if you read this, you're gay. That's the whole thing about that. So again, not a right winger. The hey fascist catch. So clearly believed Charlie Kirk was a fascist, and so this is kind of what we have here, and that's the evidence that we have. And the roommate is cooperating with police. And then the parents were interviewed by police. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started lean more towards the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who is transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Now it's Robinson's father. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle the police suspected the shooter used matched the rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet them at their home. As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was the shooter and stated that he wouldn't go to jail and he wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained There is too much evil, and the guy, Charlie Kirk, spreads hate, too much hate. They talked about Robinson turning himself in and convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who is a retired deputy sheriff at Robinson's father's request. The family friend met with Robinson and his parents and convinced Robinson to turn himself in. So, kind of plain and simple. Tyler Robinson was given this idea that Charlie Kirk was somehow hateful, somehow didn't like gay or trans people, and was somehow a fascist. And that's why he did it. And that's two things I think that concern me is the parents. Number one, as soon as they heard about this and saw the grainy image, they thought it was their son. So that tells me there's at least some sort of mental issue that they were concerned about with their son. And why weren't there other warning signs? Why wasn't this reported sooner? That's one question. And then another question is what led him to this? Because if you watch my previous video, I've shown so many clips of Charlie Kirk welcoming gay people into the conservative movement. And even a guy, there was a debate where a guy claimed that he didn't want gay people in the conservative movement that I'll show, and Charlie Kirk says, no, they are accepted, and you should accept them for who they are and love them if you are a Christian. And so this, I think, obviously the shooter is responsible for his own actions, but I do think we need to have a conversation about the talk of the media and the overuse of the term fascist or calling your opponents Hitler. Because if someone is like a Hitler figure, if you could have stopped Hitler committing the Holocaust, would you do it? Probably, and you probably should do it. But this is, like I said, a broader national issue that we need to discuss more. So I'll play the video and then I will comment on the quote-unquote old guy that got arrested.
Hey, Mr. Kirk, thanks for coming out tonight. I got a question for you real quick. Up until about 5 years ago when gay marriage was legalized nationwide, the conservative movement has been explicitly pro-traditional family. Now, both you and your organization advocate for the acceptance of anti-Christian, immoral lifestyles like homosexuality and transsexuality, going as far to invite drag queens like Lady MAGA to your events. It seems to me and anyone who's paying attention that conservatives just believe whatever liberals believed 5 years ago. Right now, there's a push by the left to normalize pedophilia by way of child drag queen shows and... Oh, excuse me. Phone shut off.
Go back to your notes. That's probably where you saved it. You know, you got to like push double tap and then go over.
Right now, there is a push by the left to normalize pedophilia by way of child drag queen shows and rebranding pedophiles as minor attracted persons. 5 years from now, will you be promoting child drag queen shows? Will child abuse become part of the conservative platform?
Boy, that's a slippery slope fallacy if I've ever seen one. First of all, I've never invited a drag queen to come to any Turning Point USA event. I was at Politicon, and an individual by the name of Lady MAGA came up, and I took a picture, and she walked away. Secondly, let me ask you a question. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, sir.
So are you a proud Trump supporter?
Of course.
So are you sickened that he had a gay man speak at his convention?
Yes.
Then you're not a Trump supporter, my friend. Thank you very much. Let me ask you another question. Should he return the money of Peter Thiel, an openly gay man who supports his campaign?
No, if it helps him strategically,
okay.
Sure he can.
Should he stop talking to Tammy Bruce, who's an open lesbian that's a Fox News contributor?
If it's affecting his ideas, then probably, yeah.
Okay, so you say you're a Trump supporter, yet you have all these issues and these disagreements with him. Let me be very clear about my position. My personal position. I'm a Christian first and foremost, then an American, then a constitutionalist, then a conservative, in that order. I believe marriage, biblically, if we want to have a biblical and theological discussion, as articulated in the greatest book ever to exist in the history of the world, the Holy Bible. Marriage in the Holy Bible is one man, one woman. I also do not believe in the sort of rhetoric that some people engage in, that all of a sudden that they say there's no place for gay people in the conservative movement. I do not believe that.
That's not conservative.
And let me ask you a question. Can I ask you a question then?
Sure, go for it.
So, the American family, liberty, freedom, the Constitution, our history, veterans, that's what we're conserving. I'll get to you later, though, don't worry. So let me ask you a question. If you had your way, what would you do with gay people in America?
I what would I do with them? I wouldn't.
Yeah,
do
because
anything.
they're not allowed in the conservative movement. So would you just kick them out anytime they show up at a Republican Party? If you were in charge, like what would you say? You can't be part of the Republican Party.
If somebody is advocating for being openly homosexual, yeah, they should not be part of the conservative movement.
So I just want to go through the list. Guy Benson, no place in the conservative movement. Dave Rubin, no place in the conservative movement. Peter Thiel, no place in the conservative movement. So that just to go down the list.
If they are supporting open homosexuality.
So
yeah, no.
I'm going to ask a very respectful question, as respectfully as I can. What does what they do in their private life concern you so much that you have to go up in front of a crowd? And
it is against God. That is
so let
why.
me ask
Are
you
you
a question.
Christian or not?
Do we live in a theocracy? Yes or no? No. Do we live in a theocracy?
You said you're a Christian.
I am a Christian. And do you know what? And guess what? I will say this. Part of being a Christian is appropriately interpreting what the theological says for the individual, but also means to be long-suffering and patient and loving and kind. Jesus Christ talked to all people. Jesus Christ went and did his ministry through Judea and Samaria, and he had dinner with tax collectors, and he had dinner with prostitutes, and he did his ministry in every part of the Mediterranean. What it means to be a Christian, my friend, is to be open-minded but firm in your beliefs, so you can have that belief. But if you say there's something inherently wrong with communicating or associating just because they make different personal decisions than you, sir, are not a conservative. Thanks for being here tonight.
And that's something that Charlie Kirks stood for, is being loving of all people and saying, hey, maybe I disagree with some of your lifestyle choices, but I will love you as a person, because being a person is more than who you sleep with at night. Being a person is more than just your race or your gender. It is the actions of what you do. There are good people of all races and all genders and all sexualities, and there are bad people of all races and all genders and all sexualities. And so it's the actions you do as a person that are important. And so now let me move on to this guy. This guy is George Zinn, and he was initially arrested after the shooting happened. And now we know why. So according to court documents, George Zinn told the police that he was the one that shot Charlie Kirk. And the reason why he told the police that is because he wanted to give the assassin more time to escape. As of right now, it does not seem like there are any evidence that him and the assassin worked together on this. It seems like this is just something that he thought of and wanted to help the killer. Although, like I said, right now we just do not know. We don't have any evidence. And so he's been charged of obstruction of justice. And then when they searched his devices, they found child P. I cannot say that word on YouTube, but think child P. So he's going to be locked up for a long time. And so, yes, this is just a horrible thing, that both celebrating and then trying to take ownership of the assassination just to help the other guy escape. Absolutely horrible. So in conclusion, I just want to mention one final thing, as I see a lot of people getting fired over the celebration of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I see a lot of people that are conflicted on it, saying, well, is that cancel culture? Is that not cancel culture? And I'm going to be honest, I think it's a good thing that those people are fired, because, hear me out, cancel culture is canceling people based on acceptable political discourse, and that is wrong. Meaning, if you are pro-big government, or if you're pro-small government, you should keep your job. If you're pro-abortion, or if you're anti-abortion, you should keep your job. If you're pro-higher taxes, or anti-higher taxes, you should keep your job. If you want more immigration, if you want less immigration, if you're pro-illegal immigration, if you're anti-illegal immigration, you should probably keep your job. The one thing you cannot be is pro-murder and pro-assassination and keep your job. And this concept is universal towards everybody. Like, for example, if Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi or Gavin Newsom, if any of them get assassinated, if any single person comes out and starts celebrating and starts cheering that on, they should be fired. I don't care if they're on the right or left or wherever, because it is not acceptable to celebrate someone's assassination in society. And the worst thing about it is these are teachers. These aren't just private citizens. Teachers are public employees. Our tax dollars are going to pay their salary. So that's even worse, because both they're teaching the future of education and they're working for us, working for the public. So that's my final thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like I said, I'm hoping to have maybe a couple of things in the work. It might take a couple of weeks, it might take a couple of months, and it might take, like 8 months from now for things to get better. But we need to start changing hearts, changing minds, and changing the culture to prove that stuff like this is not acceptable. I'm going to try to be reaching out to people, not just Republicans, moderates, Democrats, everybody, because everyone needs to come together and say, this is not acceptable. No one is allowed to shoot their opponent just because you disagree with what they say. And that is why debate and open conversation like Charlie Kirk is doing is so important, and I'm going to try everything I can to make sure that stays alive. So like I usually end my videos, if you like this type of content, hit that subscribe button like it owes you money, and I'll see you on the next one. And I also want to apologize for kind of stumbling over my words a little bit and not speaking super clearly. That is because right now I am kind of sick. I just have a little bug, and so like I said, hopefully that'll be fixed for the future.